Have you ever wondered what's actually happening inside your head when you're trying to learn a new language, like Spanish or Japanese? It feels like this weird mix of total frustration and a little bit of magic. But what does the science really say?
So, how does it all work? Is it really just about memorizing a bunch of new words? Or is there something deeper going on? Is our brain kind of rewiring itself, influenced by everything happening both inside our heads and out in the world? Okay, first things first, let's get some lingo out of the way. Researchers have a name for this field: second language acquisition, or just SLA for short. And really, it's just the study of how we learn any language after our first one is pretty much set, which usually happens around age 4. So yeah, if you're learning a new language in high school or as an adult, this is all about you. All right, so let's dive into this, the language learning puzzle, because as you're about to see, it is way more complex than you might think. I mean, if you've ever used one of those language apps, you know this feeling, right? You can spend hours drilling flashcards, but that doesn't really prepare you to, actually order a coffee or tell a joke in another country. That kind of memorization, it's just one tiny piece of a much, much bigger puzzle. And check this out. This model from a researcher named Bernard Spolsky really shows how big that picture is. Success isn't just about what's in your head. It's about your social situation, your attitude about the language, how motivated you are, even your age and personality. It all plays a huge part. All these things mix together to make every single person's learning journey totally unique. And to understand it, researchers have had to look at the problem from two very different angles. So let's start with the first angle. Let's explore the theories that are all about what's happening inside the brain. So, one of the big ideas in this field is that our brains aren't just blank slates when we're born. The theory goes that we come into the world with a kind of universal blueprint for how languages work, and it's just sitting there, waiting to be activated. And this brings us to two competing ideas about what that blueprint actually looks like. On one hand, you've got something called universal grammar. This suggests we have this built-in language toolkit. So learning is just about activating the right tools for the language you're learning. If this is true, then teaching grammar rules directly could be super effective. But then on the other hand, you have emergentist theories. These say our brain is basically just a really powerful pattern detector. It learns language the same way it learns other skills, by finding patterns in all the language it hears. And if that's the case, then just getting tons of exposure and immersion is the real key to learning. But here's the thing. The brain is only half the story. In the last few decades, there's been this huge shift in focus, what one researcher, David Block, called the social turn. And that brings us to the second major perspective, theories that look for answers not inside the brain, but out in the world. So this social way of looking at things has a few key branches. You've got interactionist theories, which are all about learning through conversation. That back and forth you have when you're trying to figure out what to order in a new country. Then there are sociocultural theories, which see it more like an apprenticeship. You learn by doing things with people in that culture, with them guiding you. And then there's the sociolinguistic view, which says that maybe the most powerful driver of all is our identity and our desire to belong to a community of people who speak that language. So, okay, we've got these two big perspectives, one looking inside the brain, the other looking out at the social world. For a long, long time, researchers called these the two parallel SLA worlds, like they never even touched. But the most exciting work happening today, it's all about bridging that gap. The whole field is shifting toward what's being called a transdisciplinary framework. The goal isn't to prove one side is right and the other is wrong anymore. It's about understanding how our internal cognitive brain stuff and our external social world are constantly interacting and shaping each other. And this model from the Douglas Fir Group is a really great way to picture it. It shows learning happening on 3 connected levels. You have the micro level, that's your day-to-day conversations. Then there's the meso level, that's your communities like your school or your family. And then the macro level, these are the big societal structures. The key takeaway here is that you can't really understand what's happening on one level without thinking about all the others. They're all connected. Okay, so we've just taken a quick tour of some pretty big ideas. But you might be sitting there asking, why does any of this matter for me just trying to learn a language? Well, it matters a lot. Here's what it all boils down to. Number 1, learning is not just a brain game of memorization. Number 2, it's also not just about being in the right environment or having conversations. And number 3, and this is the most important one, the real magic happens in the interplay between your mind and your world. To learn a language well, you have to engage both. See, understanding this really changes everything. It gives you the power to be more intentional about how you learn. You can think beyond just doing grammar drills and start asking yourself different questions. How are you building your identity as a speaker of this language? Are you creating real chances to interact? Are you plugging into a community, whether that's online or in person? Knowing the theory gives you the tools to actually design your own learning journey. So the real question is, what are you going to do with it?